Hey, girlfriends, how y'all doing? My goodness, girl. So it took a lot for me. Clearly, I needed that. It took a lot for me to get get to this video. I had a couple of days off, which I really needed because I was so tired from just all the hustle and bustle in life, and I was holding myself to the fire. Like, you got to record this video. You got to record this video. But then there was this duality of, but you also need rest. And this is going to, just add a little more on your plate. Within that duality, I had to, I chose myself. Either way was going to be choosing myself. So there was no wrong way to handle the situation. So I ended up taking some rest and finally got around to recording. So today is day 7, the final day of the self love challenge. I know Valentine's Day has passed already. The goal was to try, it wasn't the goal, it was just I gave myself that mental note, like, okay, let's try to do it for Valentine's Day, right? But we all know that self love is an eternal journey. We'll be doing it forever. So you can take this information and you can apply it to your life forever. So within the space of choosing you, that is our day 7. It is choosing yourself, betting on yourself every time. So now y'all know I always express, I think, that I don't really feel like I'm good at having my points and sticking to them because my brain is like always all over the place. So I do have some main points, and I hope I do it some justice um, with getting my point across. Okay, so choosing yourself means setting boundaries without guilt. And the first one that it says is saying no is a full sentence. So I'd like to think I say no a lot. And people don't like that I say no a lot, but I really am choosing myself. Also, it is a little easier for me to say no in a lot of situations because I really am tired and really am burnt out and I really don't have the capacity. But the reason I'm so tired, the reason, excuse me, I become so overwhelmed or I don't have the capacity is because there was a time that I didn't say no enough. And I felt that my value to other people was tied to my yes. And then I realized I was only overworking myself, overwhelming myself, and burning myself out, whether that was giving advice or loving on someone or just being there and being present. So saying no and it being a full sentence, I found that sometimes even when I do say no, depending on who the person is, and this may resonate with you guys, depending on who it is, it's easier to say no. If you don't really maybe care about the consequences, I guess. But in some other ways, it can be a lot harder. Like if you have to tell your boss no, you have to tell your parents no, or you have to tell your children no, it can be a lot harder. So in those areas, it's a little, I struggle a bit with saying no, but it is a thing that I am understanding more and more that it's not about hurting the other person, but having that boundary of saying no is going to help me actually see who is there for me when I do say after I say no. So who still shows up for me when I say no, or are my no's held against me? And one thing I was about to say was sometimes I find myself explaining why I'm saying no if I feel like I've said no multiple times. However, that is just the version of me trying to pacify the person that I'm saying no to because somehow there's some sort of guilt that has been attached to telling people no, which is why most of us don't like to do it. But I'm getting stronger in that each day. I'm not at a perfect anything. But saying no, it is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone access to you at the expense of your peace. Oh my God, that is my like, again, this is something that I've gotten better at, or maybe was always good at this and I don't know. But I had to tell a friend one time. We were just talking. I wasn't telling her, but we were talking. And then I said, if I'm going through something, right, and you're there for me, and you decide to like drive in a snowstorm and come see me and make sure I'm good and spend the night and do all of that, like that is 100% fine. I said, if you happen to be in a situation and at that moment I can't like physically be there for you, I will be there for you on the phone, I will be there for you as much as I possibly can, but physically I cannot run and get up. First of all, I don't like to drive like that, so if you expect me to get up in the middle of the night and drive to come save you and be with you, you can't. I can't. I'm not your girl. I am not the girl for you. I am not the one for you. This is not the girl you're looking for. I'm probably not going to do that. I am probably going to talk to you. And there was a situation at a time in my life where I had someone, and I don't even know if this doesn't even match with what I just said, honestly, but I did have, a person in my life at a time where it, everything that they brought was just, it was about trauma. It was about this, it was about that, and it was about this, and it was about that. And then I realized, like, when they would call me, it was never about how are you do. No, it was the preliminaries of how you doing, how's everybody doing, you okay, good, press play, and then it was this draining, constant drama over and over and over again. And I just at some point I was like, I can't allow this person to constantly keep calling me with this stuff because this is not even my life. I don't even operate in these things that this person is operating in. And that's not under the sense of judgment. That was just really like, sometimes I was just like, what? Like, these are things I probably went through in my 20s and my 30s. And it's just a bit too much for me. Like, I carry a lot of weight, with my family off the back. And so to have to be there, and I'm telling, they're calling me because they want my advice, they want my guidance, they want this and they want that, but then they never use it, and then they just keep coming back. And so I realized that was my fault because I kept giving the access for them to plug into me and withdraw from me, but I wasn't getting anything back. So I had to alleviate that access, and I did not do it in any way that was callous. You can have your boundaries of saying no. You can have your boundaries of not allowing people to have access, but you can be considerate, and you can be respectful. So I just had the conversation with the person saying, every time you call me, I've found that this has been my experience. I am not I don't have the capacity to do that for you anymore. And then I do see that you don't even call to genuinely check on me or anything like that. It actually feels like you don't even care. And I'm like, well, what's the last thing that happened in my life that was a big issue? You don't even know, because when you call and you just like da, 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 ratting it off. And so you don't even genuinely care. Um, and eventually that subsided. And then I just stopped taking the calls altogether because there was never really a change. And then it felt like this inauthenticity when we would have the conversation, because now it's like, oh, I got to really ask you about yourself. And I'm not forcing you to do anything. I just had to make a decision that was best for myself to not participate in something that was actually draining me and not give access to, you know, someone who didn't know how to give and receive. That was long. Um, Boundaries are not about shutting people out, they're about protecting your energy and your well being. That was something that I had to learn. You are not at war for your boundaries. You don't have to stand at the top of the mountain or the rooftop and exclaim your boundaries, right? People will pick up on your boundaries as you effectively apply them. And your boundaries are basically like your fence, having your fence up around you. And I like to say a guard dog. You have a dog, right? So your dog, when anybody comes up, your dog is not uh, always suspicious of the person that comes up. Your dog is actually sniffing out if this person is going to be good for this environment. And again, I haven't done any research about this, but it sounds good in my head. So if it doesn't come out right, we're just going to scratch it from the record, right? Okay, so when a new person comes up, and I have a dog, so when a new person comes up, my dog immediately goes to the person. They're not going to the person running at them to attack them, right? So you don't have to go and attack anybody and say, these are my boundaries. No, the dog sniffs them out and determines if this person is a good fit. Okay. And they're not just determining that by the outside demeanor. They say that dogs have a sixth sense and they can sense the intentions or the soul of a person. And it is your job to be vigilant enough to pay attention that when people come into your stratosphere or your atmosphere or your energy, that you sniff them out and not be dazzled, or what is it, charmed by what they look like on the outside, but by the contents of their character and what they eventually show you over the course of some time. So you don't have to be defensive when new people come around. You can say, I will let you show me exactly who you are. And when they show you who you are, who they are, you believe them, and you determine on whether or not this person is allowed to come in your fence again. Like, do we align in thoughts? Do we align in what's fundamentally sound? My fundamental values, my morals, do we align? Because that is what your boundaries are all about, is protecting you. It is to protect you from people that you do not align with. And you will know because you'll have the experience and you'll feel some sort of way. You'll feel something. And sometimes it gives you the opportunity to process through it and to self reflect and to figure out why do I not like this person, or what rubs me the wrong way about this person. But 9 times out of 10, there's something that you are not aligning with, and it's up to you to determine whether you want to explore that further, because maybe it's some insecurity with you or within you, or some trigger within you that you've explored, and you're like, you know what, let me give this person a chance. But I often just see a boundary as a disrespect. So if my boundary is crossed, and this is not who I've always been. This is more so now, and it's something that I'm still working on. I don't want anybody to think that this is a thing that we're all going to get together forever. The more you do it, it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you'll be at setting boundaries for yourself to keep yourself safe, not to overprotect yourself, but to keep yourself safe. Okay. um you and this brings me to the next one. Oh, there was another one. Self-worth is non-negotiable. So you teach people how to treat you. That kind of falls in line with the boundaries. If there's something that you don't like that someone does, I would always say address it. You can address it right then and there, or you can address it at a later day, but I always say don't allow it to fester 24 hours, because then now you become a part of the problem when you allow things to fester, because then they bother you. And then you know, the more time that goes by, you find yourself not having enough validity because you didn't bring it up immediately to say something to the person. And then that just gets worse and worse for you, because now you're ruminating about it. Oh, am I just talking about me? Oh, okay. Well, sorry, that's how I handle it. So if I don't address something within 24, 48, 72 hours is the latest, it tends to just fester. And that's never good for me. So, um, you teach people how to treat you. Address it right then and there, or at a better time. Stop settling for crumbs when you deserve the whole meal. Now, I wasn't really sure of what this point meant, and I guess that someone's giving you a little bit of what you need. So they're giving you a side dish, but they're not giving you the whole plate. And I don't know if this is relative to a romantic relationship, but just in any relationship in general. I think this is about reciprocity. When I read over it again, I think this is more about reciprocity. So if you're giving of yourself fully, if you're giving somebody a whole meal and they're only giving you a side, then um that is a big enough deal, and that's for lack of a better word. That's a big enough deal for you to make the determination that this is not a fair exchange. And when I say fair exchange, that means everybody's given 100, 100. Not that everybody's given 100% in the same way, because what I need in a relationship from someone may be what I give, and it may be some things I don't bring to the table. And what I do bring to the table, they may need, right? So it's about understanding really what that is and what somebody's whole plate looks like and what your whole plate looks like. And if you both are bringing a whole plate to the table together versus somebody bringing the limited edition, it's very scary. And I'm learning this as I'm getting older. It is very scary to allow people in your space that are not on the same page and that don't believe in the same things, because because you run the risk of them. I don't want, offended is not the right word, but you run the risk of them of being hurt. You run the risk. Imagine being a licensed driver and getting in the car with a non-licensed driver. If you're training your child to drive the car, right? You've been driving for years. There are some things that your child, even though they're learning and you want to be there for them while they're learning, there are some things that they're just not going to understand until they become drivers. But as a parent, while you're in that car with them and you're teaching them and helping them, and guiding them on learning how to drive, you are assuming a risk that they can crash your car and they can actually kill you both. So that's how I feel it is when you allow other people in your life, to come to breadcrumb you or string you along with crumbs to only bring sides to the table when you're bringing the whole meal. Okay, it's a bigger risk than you can imagine. Um, the more you respect and value yourself, the less you'll tolerate situations that don't serve you. This goes back to, what are your values for yourself? What are your standards for yourself? Because a lot of times we operate in this world, and myself included, and I've just probably done this recently, is really writing down, no, what's my values and what's non-negotiable to me. Loyalty, trust, transparency, integrity, consideration. Those things are really, really at the top of my list when it comes to things that I value and things that are non negotiable for me. Disrespect, non-negotiable. There should be no disrespect in any relationship that you are with, whether that's familial, whether that is romantic, or even in a co-workership. I don't even know what the proper terminology is for that. But there should be no disrespect. So if you don't understand what your values are, these things can happen. This is when we don't have boundaries because we don't have a standard. So you can't really have boundaries if you don't have a standard because you don't know what you're bounding against. Like, what are your boundaries protecting, right? So that's why it's important to understand what it is that you actually want, what you need, what's negotiable, what's not negotiable. And so if someone comes into your space and they come with a situation that doesn't align, you can immediately know. You will immediately know. Some people don't trust themselves because they just don't know. And the reason they just don't know because they've never written it down. They've never sat and had a conversation like, what do I want? What are the type of people that I want operating in my space? What do I want? All of this is about self love, y'all. All of this is about self love. You can't ask someone to bring something to the table that you are not willing to bring to yourself. And I'm willing to bring that to myself. Therefore, I will not tolerate anything that falls outside the lines. And it sounds rigid, and it doesn't have to be rigid. But what will happen is, what respect you have for yourself, other people will begin to just fall off. I said that. You don't have to proclaim and exclaim anything from the rooftops. People will just begin to fall by the wayside. And you'll start looking at everybody like, hmm. And then what does that mean? That means you attracted those people into your space to teach you a lesson, and now you've learned it. Okay. The last one I have is, you are your own safe place. Stop waiting for others to show up for you. Show up for yourself first. Ah! How many of us get caught up in, oh my God, I'm always showing up for this person, and then I expected them to show up for me in this way, right? First of all, that's not fair. But um, stop waiting for other people to show up for you. I was going through something, and I wanted people to be there that I expected to be there, but some people did and some people didn't. And then I realized, even if those other people if they never do, what am I going to sit and ruminate and be upset about somebody not showing up for me? No, I'm going to show up for myself. And what does showing up for myself look like? It looked like me doing my own work. It looked like me um unearthing certain behaviors that I had, certain things that I allowed, and understanding why, understanding what my dark sides were, understanding the things I didn't like about myself, what they were, where they came from, understanding certain beliefs and functions that I had that were not aligning with where I'm saying this is where I want to go, but I'm so caught up in all of this stuff because I wasn't really doing the work. And so once I started doing the work, that was showing up for myself, that was having a therapist, that was going on my walks, that was doing my meditation, that was writing, journaling. And I mean, I seriously, and I'm not even going as hard as I want to. I want to go hard so bad. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to get there. I'm learning how to show up for myself has been not the easiest thing, and most people think that it is, but it's not the easiest thing. So I guess I should have started with that. Learning how to show up for yourself is not the easiest thing. But I know that when I go back to my values, safety, protection, peace, those are significant to me. So how do I show up for myself in that space? How do I provide safety for myself? How do I provide peace for myself? And not expecting that from other people, because if other people bring it, it'll be extra, but I won't hold other people accountable for providing a thing to me that I should be providing for myself. um Learn to love your own company and validate yourself instead of seeking it externally. So my own company, I really do like my own company. Uh, and maybe I do, maybe I don't know if I'm misinterpreting it, right? Because I like to stay home a lot, and I like to watch my TV, and I like to have my little drink, and I like to just do what I want to do all by myself. I'll sit in the room and I'll play music and I'll dance in the mirror and I'll just have a gay old time all by myself. So I guess I do enjoy my own company. Sometimes I do that for so long that I end up depressed because I hadn't been outside in 6 months, which is kind of the space that I'm in now. And that typically happens during the winter. I don't like the cold. So that has taught me how to embrace having fun with myself and setting up my day and like, this is what I'm going to do, or whatever the case is. So I do enjoy my own company, but validating myself was a thing that I struggled with. It was a thing that I struggled with. And I just had an incident the other day. I was sitting in the mirror and I was getting myself together and I was like, oh, you're starting to look older. And please, okay. All right, say nothing. And I started to like pick myself apart a little bit. The things that I don't like, my strong forearms and like, or my boobs aren't as perky as they used to be, and all the things, right? Because I'm at that age. And so I had to say, Nimdia, shut up, right? Because remember, this journey is about being the ultimate girlfriend to myself. So that means I had to tell myself and say to myself, what would my homegirl say? What would I say to my friend if my friend was sitting here attacking herself in this mirror? I would have a fit. I would give her every reason on the planet as to why none of these things are true that she's saying. Or I would elaborate on, okay, so you have strong arms, right? You have strong forearms. You are a strong woman. Look at all the things that you've been through. Look at all the things that you have survived in life. Yes, you should have strong arms. You should have rough hands. You had to go through a lot. You had to pull down a lot of walls within yourself. You had to break down a lot of walls and barriers outside of your life. So, yes, you have fighting strong hands and strong arms, and you should be okay with that because Wonder Woman has strong arms too. Superwoman, I don't even know if Superwoman is actually a real character. I'm sure she is if I asked. But, yeah, so you are strong. So all of that about you is it makes you who you are. And it's not about it being this level or standard of beauty that the world says is beautiful. Um, so I had to be the ultimate girlfriend to myself the other day and talk myself out of that and change my language in the way that I was talking to myself, and I had to just start, affirming myself in that space. When you choose yourself, you create a life that aligns with your happiness and not what others expect. When you choose yourself, you create a life that aligns with your happiness and not what others expect. Choosing yourself is not a thing we were taught to do. Or it comes with the notion that it is selfish, it is unfair, especially when you have a spouse, especially when you have children, especially when you may have family members with whom you have to take care of. Maybe you're a caretaker or something of the sort. Um, but choosing yourself fills your cup. It fills your cup when you are operating in the space that you're doing the things that you love, you're doing the things that make you happy. You are filling your own cup. And when your own cup is filled, you have more to give to everyone else. But we're not even talking about giving everyone else right now, because we're talking about giving to ourselves, right? You create a life that aligns with your happiness, and you no longer put the burden on someone else to provide that happiness for you when you do it for yourself. When I eat healthy, I feel so good and I feel so happy. And that radiates to everyone else that's around me. When I'm able to work out, or when I'm able to walk, and when I'm able to meditate, that radiates to everyone around me. So my happiness is significant for myself so that I am full. And because of the role that I play in so many other lives and the people that I'm responsible for, if I am not taking care of myself, then they get the percentage of what I have. And I won't say that is not using my position responsibly. But in a way, I feel like it is. But anyway, we're not going to talk about the other people. We're going to talk about ourselves, right? Because this is about us. We want to be happy. We want to be together. We want to be aligned. We want to be so full of ourselves. And I mean, full of the things that make us happy and allow us to be fulfilled, that we always have a full cup, which will always allow us to be able to give in the end. And we won't be overwhelmed and overburdened and burnt out, because it'll be coming from a full place. Um, so let me wrap this up. Choosing yourself is the ultimate act of self-love. It is not about being selfish. Oh, I didn't know they said that. It's about honoring your needs, protecting your energy, creating a life that truly reflects who you are. This journey doesn't end here. Self love is something you practice every day. I mentioned that. Keep choosing you, because when you do, everything else falls into place. I didn't even realize that that was there. So I kind of wrapped it up before. And just be well on this journey. I'll definitely be back with other videos um, that I'll be posting. But this 7 day, self love challenge, like I did it. I did it. And to some of you, it may not seem like a big deal, but it was a big deal for me. This was me filling up my own cup. And so I hope this resonates for you. I hope you're able to take some of this experience into your everyday lives. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon.